The movie begins with a man killing Alice from the first film. We'll soon learn this is Jason Voorhees, Pamela's son. We cut to a title card, and afterwards we learn there's a new camp set to open with new counselors on their way to prepare for the campers, only it's on the opposite side of the lake. Out of all the cast, the most important ones are Ginny and Paul. The rest of the counselors are doomed. In a campfire scene, we learn this is 5 years after the first film, and Camp Blood is restricted to everyone. Ralph, the crazy guy from the first film, tries to scare the group like the last, but he's killed before he's ever seen. The next day, Jeff and Sandra go to explore the other camp, and they're caught by an officer and taken back. Later, the officer is killed after finding an old shack in the woods. At night, the counselors break off with half of them going into town, taking the cars with them, and the other half stay. The trash passers set off to do naughty things. Meanwhile, the pervert gets caught in a bear trap. Taking this chance, the killer slices his throat. As the girl returns to help him down, she's killed off screen. Vicky goes to get ready to do naughty things with Mark after smoking a joint as it starts to rain. Mark, waiting for her, gets killed rolling down a flight of stairs afterwards. As the killer lurks, he finds and kills the two trespassers. Paul and Ginny head back to the camp, leaving the rest of the counselors at the bar. Vicky, now ready, is killed in a dramatically slow fashion. Now back, the remaining pair find something is up. The killer starts to fight with them, knocking out Paul while Ginny runs for her cover as she starts the try to kill Jason speedrun any percent, wasting far too much time, but she got good RNG because this Jason isn't new to killing. Ginny ends up at the shack from before, finding Mrs. Voorhees' head and shirt, and mind games Jason into thinking she's still alive. She's able to put him down, ending her time. Paul and her head back to the camp, and once they're finally able to relax, Jason returns to finish the job. Or wait, it was a dream. But Paul is missing, so I'm not sure if he just let her go or whatever. Jason getting up says otherwise as we get another title sequence, and afterwards we see Jason steal some new clothes while the owners watch the news talk about what happened in the previous film. We cut to Chris Higgins and her friends headed to her lakeside cabin for a weekend trip. It looks like two potheads already started the party. Now at the cabin, we see Shelley likes to play pranks, like pretending to have an axe in his head. We learn more about the new cast, and some rude bikers siphon gas out of the van, but karma comes around in the form of Jason. Later that night, Andy and Debbie do naughty things. Meanwhile, Shelley pulls another prank, but this time he pays the price. And also, this is where Jason dons his iconic ski mask, making his first kill with it as well. Making his way inside, we see Jason split Andy and take care of Debbie as well. The power goes out, and one of the potheads goes to fix it but dies in the process. The other one is too high to function for a real actor and dies unceremoniously. Chris and Rick, the last ones alive, come back to the house after some alone time. Rick goes to see where everyone has left to, and Chris barely misses her skull explode in a great scene, although it's poorly aged. Chris, all alone, joins the speed run too. Let's see how she fares. In no time, Jason is there, and while trying to hide, Chris gives away her position, scared by finding Debbie's dead body. She's using the murder weapon to ward off Jason, giving her enough time to jump out the window. She gets the van to start, but it doesn't make it that far without gas. It all comes to a close at the barn. We see Jason has more brute strength, and now Chris almost manages to get a PB. But hanging Jason doesn't do the trick. With some last-minute help from one of the bikers, she's able to end her time with an axe to his head. Uneasy, she sets out onto the lake, and we have another dream sequence. First, Jason is back. Then, in a reversal, Pamela comes to get her. Cut to the real world, and she is still traumatized, driven away by the police. A title sequence happens, then we cut to an ambulance packing up Jason, taking him to the hospital. At the morgue, while a doctor and nurse listen to the news talk about what's happened, they start being naughty, and it's rudely interrupted by Jason. Cut to the next morning, and we're introduced to Tommy Jarvis and his mom and sister. We learn the house next door is being rented by a few teenagers. The next day, the teens run into the Doublemint twins, and they have a party at the house. They all get drunk, and one of the girls sets off to swim at the lake alone, but she finds herself skewered by Jason. Then her boyfriend goes to find her, meeting a similar fate. One of the twins and Crispin Glover leave to do naughty things, and the other decides to leave the party. But while getting on her bike, Jason tears her a new hole. Unlucky for Miss Jarvis, she's killed off-screen, leaving Tommy and Trish orphaned. Crispin, after finishing, goes to the kitchen to celebrate, but Jason doesn't know how to party, as we see him dispatch everyone in the house, one by one. All that's left is Tommy, Trish, and Rob in the other house. Rob and Trish go to see if Jason has been there, and to no surprise, it's silent and they discover everyone's dead. Rob is killed by Jason. Meanwhile, Tommy learns about Jason's past. Trish runs home and boards up the doors and locks the windows, but Jason just throws Rob's body through the window, and they run upstairs to hide as Tommy joins the speed run, feeling confident about his odds. Trish slashes a TV over Jason's head. Trish leads Jason away as Tommy starts his metamorphosis. Trish, trying to get away from Jason, hops out of a window. Now back at the house, Trish still warding off Jason. Tommy appears, now looking like a young Jason, distracting Jason long enough for Trish to knock off his mask. Tommy takes this opportunity and ends it once and for all with a machete through the head and multiple hits all over the body while screaming, "Die, die." That's totally normal, at least that's what the doctors say to Trish in the hospital. Although the film doesn't end with a dream sequence, it does end with a concerning stare from Tommy. My final thoughts for these movies is that they have the best soundtrack I've ever heard yet. No other franchise can get you into the mood of the movie quite like these. You're in for a real treat as you follow Jason's rise and fall as he goes from a no-name killer to an iconic hockey mask killer. When you say Friday, you think Jason, and that's because of these three movies right here. And the effects on the gore are top-notch. The climax of the fourth film is a fitting way to send off this character. But money is the game, and this franchise made bank, so they're not going to leave it there. The fact that the story carries on, but they cement the fourth film as his real death, makes this movie a standout. The second film shows how new Jason is to killing and how sloppy he can be, but through the rest of the movies he becomes a stone-cold killer, with nothing but revenge driving him to do the things he does. The characters are alright, and I can see how the films can become repetitive, but when you end up rooting for the killer, it's a lot of fun to watch. Tomorrow I'll be reviewing the fifth film in the franchise, New Beginnings, but until then, bye!